Chris, very nice to meet you. So, I've read your Film Freeway page for your script, which is not a script, it's actually a play. But first thing I wanted to talk about, I've read something. You are president-elect of the Royal Institute of British Architects. What
I am.
what about it? Wow. And what does that mean? And how do you become a script writer out of that?
So I'm actually now 6 months into the role. So I've got another 18 months left as president. And so I've been an architect for 40 years. And I've had a great career mainly in transport projects. So I've worked
Okay.
in London and in Sydney, in Melbourne, in Toronto, and a little bit in Los Angeles. And we worked on the initial stages of the high speed stations in California. So
Waiting.
I come to California quite a lot, and I've always loved writing. I'm a member of two book clubs, and I love reading. I love writing, and I only write in my capacity as an architect. So I write bids, I write proposals, I write critiques sometimes for other architectural projects. So I've always loved writing. And when I came to Los Angeles, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, just after COVID, I always, whenever I come to Los Angeles, I have tennis lessons at the Beverly
Oh,
Hills on La Cienega. And one guy who's actually English, a guy called Daniel Levy, he's also a budding script writer as well as a tennis coach. And I was telling him this idea I had for a script. And the thing I love about Los Angeles is there's such a can-do attitude.
yeah.
In England, we tend to talk each other out of doing things, say that will never work, that
I,
won't
I
happen.
totally
In
agree with you.
LA, so my office hates me coming to Los Angeles because I always come back with 1,001 ideas and say, why don't we do this? So Daniel Levy, the next day when I walked back onto the court for my next tennis lesson, said, have you phoned that guy about your script? And I said, he was really encouraging me to do it and so I just sat down and over a period of time wrote more and more. And it's such an infectious attitude when you're in Los Angeles to actually do
Yeah.
things that all these things that I would put off normally. He encouraged me to do. So
There's
I've really enjoyed writing it. And
in LA, there's no fear of failure, and there's an attitude that rewards trying and going for it, and just you have an idea, make it a script. You have a script, make it a movie.
yeah,
Like no one is going to wait for you, so you wait for no one, and you just do whatever you want to do. So that's where come Legacy, the play.
yeah.
That's
So
where it comes
really,
from.
so I'm towards the end of my career in architecture, and like a lot of people that I come into contact with, a lot of people are really concerned about what they're going to leave behind, what their legacy is going to be.
Yeah.
So the script is about the rivalry between Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, but it's also about and I don't know if I should say this, so it's about Norman Foster and Richard Rogers, who are two of our greatest English architects. And to me, there are great similarities between those four characters. And so as I've been writing it, although it's set in Renaissance times, and the reason I've done that is because 500 years later, we still can't decide who's better,
Which one is
Leonardo
the
or
most
Michelangelo.
has the biggest legacy?
And that's part of my argument, is it actually doesn't matter. One of them was obsessed with their legacy and wanted to win everything, and felt really bitter if somebody else won a commission that he hadn't got, whereas the other one was just interested in ideas and wasn't really interested in what he was going to leave behind, but just was interested in finding out how the world worked. And one of them died penniless, but really living a life of luxury. And the other one hoarded all his money and died without any friends, but having done this amazing body of work. So I've really enjoyed all the research and all the reading,
So you're using historic landscape and historic framing to talk about something that's about rivalry, that's about two people having two different, making different set of choices within the same society, let's say. But it's about people that are more contemporary to us than the people you're actually using in the play. Did you actually consider at some point doing the play that would actually take place in today's modern society?
I did, yeah, but the reason I set it in Renaissance times was because we still can't decide who was the better, and that's part of my argument, that it doesn't actually matter. What matters is how you live your life and how you affect the people around you. And if you're always striving for something in the future, it's really pointless, because I mean, it's nice to leave these fantastic works behind, but even Michelangelo, who left these incredible edifices, other people can't come along who are better than him anyway. I mean, Raphael was probably better than both of them, and he, you know, so that's a third. But you can. So there are many nuances in a script, and you have to decide how to pare it back and how to make it a dynamic tension between, you know, two or three characters. But I'm not a script writer. This is the first one that I've written. I've really enjoyed the research. Not only, I mean, it's just such an amazing story that Machiavelli commissioned both of them at the same time to do opposing walls of the palace in Florence. So it's just an amazing story about the whole of the Renaissance and the discoveries from the New World and how things were changing. So it is quite relevant to contemporary society, because things are still changing incredibly rapidly. So there is a lot of parallels. But I think as a scriptwriter, you have to decide on something and just go for it.
Yeah, just find the one angle you want to go after. So it's a play. When you write a play, you said you're not a script writer, but I guess when you write a play, you are writing it with the idea of how is it going to look on stage. Did you think about that? And how does that influence the movement of the characters, where they come in on stage and where they get out, and when they actually are together on the same stage in the same scene? How does that inform the writing of a play, in your perspective?
So that is something that I'm not familiar with, but so I've done a lot of research, and obviously I love reading, I love the theatre. So I know there's one thing writing a dialogue, but there's another thing entirely about having peaks and troughs and having fights and quiet elements, and you know, so you can't make it all just a story. The story in itself is fascinating, but you have to have real
bounds and rebounds, waves and counter waves, and backstories, and sometimes side stories, all of that, especially when in a play, because sometimes you need to change the decor and the background. So you need time for some actors to change. So you have other characters coming in and that kind of stuff. So has the play been on stage, or is it just a screenplay as is right now?
So At the moment, it's being workshopped at my hometown in Derby in the East Midlands. Have been
Excellent.
workshopping it in so they have a university theatre group, and I actually own a commercial, so a contemporary art space in my hometown, which is a converted church. So I'm trying to champion the arts in the East Midlands of England, so that I do have a venue. So when it, and I, so I can, once I think it's now at a stage where I'm very grateful for having won this Los Angeles award, the Script Award,
Oh,
which is fantastic. But just winning an award is one thing, but actually getting it to perfecting it and
yeah.
really making it sing. So I think the combination of not just the writing, which I've really enjoyed, but workshopping it, getting a good director, and getting it onto the stage is another thing entirely.
So
But
when you say they are,
that's the stage we're at the moment.
so workshop, and that means they are kind of pre-producing the play. They are looking for a director. They're casting. How far along are they in the process?
So just rehearsing the dialogue, rehearsing the movement. So it's basically being workshopped, looking at what works and what doesn't.
Okay, so they're experimenting with it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
so you have to. So for me, I have to be prepared to lose a little bit of control and have other people influence it. But I'm quite
yeah,
happy with that because
that's the name of the
part
game. I mean,
that's part of the process.
you're the author, but at some point a director is going to direct the play, and you have
Yeah.
to, I guess, you have to be open to their ideas into how to flesh it out on stage. Are you involved in the process, or did you just give your baby away and you're waiting to see what they're going to do with it?
It's a bit of both. So I
Okay.
have been involved, but it's a bit like being an architect. You design something, and then you have to
Yeah.
have a team that makes it a reality. So
Yeah.
I'm quite used to that, and I think if you're too controlling, it's not a good thing. It's good to be collaboratively to work on any project. If it's one person's idea, it's never really as good as having a team, having different eyes look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a team effort. Stage, movies, it's a team effort. The script usually is the first block to build the house, but then you need a whole set of people to make it happen. So you've been talking about architecture. Obviously, it's set in a historical landscape. I'm interested in how culture, arts, and culture influence your inspiration, because it could be easier in a way to set such a rivalry story into modern times, but you elected, it seems that it was easier for you to set it in the past, in a historical perspective. So how does that existing history, culture, even pop culture at the time, because it was different, but yeah. So how does that influence and inspire your writing, basically?
So it was just such a fascinating time, the Renaissance. I mean, it was a time of new discoveries. So people were starting to travel the world. They were discovering that the world wasn't flat; it was round, and they were discovering things, and questioning religion, questioning accepted uh, teaching. So, and that in itself is incredibly interesting. And I think it was a time when we were questioning things, and there are parallels with today. We're at a time again. I think there's been three relatively recent, amazing advances. What one was the Renaissance, when we started looking back at antiquity, but discovering new things as well. So in the Renaissance, they discovered new colors, new materials, paper had been discovered, printing was discovered, so that knowledge was being much more widely disseminated. And then again in the Victorian times in England, that was an amazing time of advancement. And now we're in I think we're in the middle of a third advancement with what's happening in Silicon Valley in California and all the advances that we're making. It's an incredibly exciting time. And it can always go either way. There's people that want to close it down and repress it. But then look, in the past, we've always advanced as a civilization and embraced those new technologies. So I think, although it's set in the Renaissance times, there are very definite parallels to what's happening today.
Yeah, history is a cycle. So basically, the same cycle is going to repeat, and you can see similar tropes between one piece of history and today's world. You mentioned the research you've had to do. How deep did you go into the research, into looking for, I don't know, details about the rivalry, about Da Vinci and Michelangelo? Did you look for historical anecdotes? Did you research about the way and the reasons why Machiavelli commissioned them both at the same time? How deep did you go into that research?
So I think I don't think there's many books I haven't read on their lives and times, but not just on Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, but also on the people around at the same time, the Medici, their patrons, the popes, and the rivalry between the city-states of Italy. And that was really important because they were used, the artists were used as collateral to stop fighting. So Leonardo would be sent to Rome to paint for the Pope in order to stop the Pope attacking Florence. So it was a really interesting time. But and also there were we've just lived through COVID in the last few years, but there were terrible plagues at the time. So people think it was a time of advancement, but some of the things that Michelangelo and Leonardo had to endure, and the wars that were going on at the time wasn't a great. So some aspects weren't a great boost to creativity. There were, but also some of the things that Leonardo worked on, war and fighting, sometimes spurs on technological advancement. So some of the things that that Leonardo invented were based on fighting, and so there are a lot of parallels with what's happening in the world at the moment.
Absolutely, I agree. It's an inspiration, and artists live through their own times, so it's gonna transpire into their creation. Is this your first stage play? Is it your debut play?
It is, yeah, it is. But I love the cinema. I love writing. I love ideas, and I would like to write more. But it's and you see fantastic things on the stage and in the cinema. But I think there are so many people doing it. I'm quite realistic that I've really enjoyed getting it to this stage, but you have to be realistic about what the possibilities are. It's such a competitive market.
How did you get into this stage? How did it come to your mind? Oh, I'm gonna write a play. What compelled you to start doing that? Was there a starting point? Was there an emotion? Was there someone who recommended you to do that? What was for you the starting point to put the pen to the paper, basically?
I think there are a lot of people that have an idea for something, but it's just that impetus of somebody encouraging you to start it, because an idea is just an idea unless you do it. You've got to make it a reality, and once you've started, it goes in a different direction, possibly, to what you think it might do. But I think you at some stage. So I thought that I would have to wait until I retired to start a project like this, but when COVID happened and we all found ourselves with a bit more free time, because all the cinemas were closed, all the theatres were closed, most of the restaurants were closed. There's only so many Netflix box sets you can listen, you can view. So I just sat down and started writing and found that I really enjoyed it. And then you get into a rhythm, and then you only do it if you enjoy it, I think. And I found that I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the research. I enjoyed the expressive language, and trying to work out how to get those arcs and peaks and troughs within the script has been really interesting.
I'm curious, why did you decide to make it a stage play and not a screenplay? Did you have in mind a higher likeliness, possibility of seeing the project take form and take life? Why a play and not a screenplay?
Really, because there was only about 5 or 6 major characters, so there was no big epic battle scenes or whatever. So it seemed to be quite contained. It's a dialogue and a conversation, and there's some conflict in it, but there's also a lot of soul searching between the two characters. I mean, and also you get time to develop the script in a different way on the stage, I think, than you do, in cinema. But I mean, I would be getting ahead of myself if I thought that it would start on the stage and then, like Frankie and Johnny end up on the screen. But you have to limit your ambitions and just take it one step at a time, I think.
Well, you never know, but definitely, I mean, you've won that first place at the Script Awards. Now we are doing the interview series with you. You definitely have a story to tell, and that story is anchored into history with a big H, and it echoes some real behaviors we can see around us in modern society. Another question I had for you, did you have anyone in mind when writing the play as to who would embody the characters? Sometimes when we write, we imagine, we imagine Nicolas Cage, we imagine, that actress, that actor, these performers, and sometimes that helps us put words to the project. Did you go through that or not at all?
Not specific people, but
Okay.
Leonardo would be played by somebody very beautiful, and Michelangelo would be played by somebody really ordinary looking. So and I think it's really important. So I go to lots of sort of book readings, and there's a a lot of writers can't write anything unless they really know their characters inside out. So I think it's a matter of knowing the character, and visualizing the character, whether it's a named actor or just somebody that they know. It might be appropriate for that role.
So not necessarily
But
visual inspiration, but the research you did informed the archetype of the characters, informed their psyche, basically. So you knew how they would behave and interact with each other.
Yeah, but strangely, I was at a reunion at my old university, and I was sitting next to Charles Dance, the famous actor Charles Dance, and he'd just been in a Netflix series about Michelangelo playing him, and we got talking about my play, and we found that we agreed on exactly the characters and the idiosyncrasies, and that was a fascinating conversation. So that really spurred me on again to write more and to develop the characterization.
Did you try to pitch him the project and maybe get him to be on board? I mean, as you should. I don't know. Did you?
Of course I did, but he did ask. He did ask me to send the script, so I have sent it to him. But you know, he is a brilliant actor, and you know that would be a real coup. And we're both from the same university, so he studied photography.
English
Strangely.
actors are known to be after good stories. And it's not unusual for big name actors from the UK to take on projects that are unexpected if the story is good, if the character is interesting. And also yours is a period piece. So honestly, it's checking some boxes.
You never know.
Did you try to push it in that direction? Did you try to pitch it to agencies, to producers?
It's not really my field. I don't know really how the industry works. So I think, I mean, I'm aware that you can have a successful career in one field like architecture, and then you think, oh, I can do this, but it's completely different. And my main motivation is just to get something out of my system and enjoy the process. If it goes anywhere, then it would be fantastic, and I would love it, obviously. But I've just enjoyed doing it, and I've enjoyed the encouragement that the Script Awards has given me, and it's made me really enthusiastic about having another idea or doing something else. But it's about, to me, I think it's the same with architecture. You can have a fantastic idea, but it doesn't actually always lead to something, but it leads to something else. Life doesn't always go in a linear fashion, but unless you try to do something, you're not going to succeed. So you never know where it's going to go, but it might end up going somewhere, or it might just end up as being an interesting project, which I've been really happy to do.
It's the beauty of it. You write something, you create a movie, you create a project, wherever it is. Even if you're a sculptor, an artist in any way, or an architect, if you create something, it's going to lead to something else. Maybe not what you expected, maybe not what you wanted, but every time you initiate a movement in the universe, you're going to get someplace. And you may not be in charge of the direction at all times, but you're going to move forward. So what's ahead for you, Chris? What's the next project, or what are the next steps for Legacy? What's ahead of you right now for 2026?
So we're going to continue workshopping, continue rehearsing the project, but I've also got a full-time role, as you alluded to at the start, as president of the RIBA. So my main focus is always on architecture and the built environment and making that better. But just I think having a project, I think anything that you do creatively leads to something else. Just having the idea is one thing, but actually trying to see it through, even if it doesn't go anywhere, at least you've tried, and you've developed as a person. So it's about, so I'm really enjoying doing my architectural projects at the moment, and I'm having a great satisfaction with that. And I think, you know, it's great to have this opportunity to be creative and to think about other people's legacy, and not worry about your own. I think it's quite reassuring to realize that you don't have to take life that seriously. You should strive to do the best you can, but not be too worried about what you're going to leave behind. See, you know, you look back at all the presidents of the United States, all the prime ministers of the UK, the kings and queens, you know, we are so insignificant that it's not actually that we shouldn't worry too much about what we're, you know, we should just try and be happy and make the people around us happy.
Be a little less conscious of the consequences and just take it one day at a time. And if we are happy creating something, let's do it. For you, it was a play. I like that. I like the way you took things full circle and how you seems to be enjoying the creative process. Chris, it was a pleasure to talk with you. Congratulations again on winning first place last year at the Script Awards Los Angeles. That interview series is for scriptwriters, people who write plays, and we are going to continue doing that. And I'm very happy you were one of our guests. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Have a good one.